to slander Oscar Grant, to appeal to prejudice and discrimination and racism and anti-youth bigotry, the media will begin to shift its appraisal of what took place in this case. And a lot of people are going to start looking at the videos that we're about to show from the vantage point of the police, from the vantage point of people scared by their own racism, from the vantage point of people who feel irrationally and wrongly, but feel that they need a wall of protection against young Black and Latino men in this society, and they see that wall of protection as the police, and they feel that yes, on occasion there may be some excesses by the police, and even some murders, but that you have to tolerate that if you want that wall of protection. We can't let them be in that mindset. To us, we look at the videos and they look crystal clear. They look like they prove our case and then some. That the guys were doing nothing. That they never deserved to be, arrested or detained in the first place, let alone cuffed and in Oscar Grant's case, punched and then shot. But the police are going to put their own spin on those videos. And everything that we're saying on our side, they're going to be saying the mirror image of it on their side. Where we're saying, people are just saying, get off him. They're going to be saying that created a chaotic situation in which we felt stressed and endangered for our lives. Where we are going to be saying the woman cop was trying to confiscate phones so that she could get the film, they're going to say the woman cop was simply trying to gather up evidence and the people with the phones resisted turning over that evidence to her. Think of everything from our side, and I'll tell you, we're going to look at that prosecutor's thing in just 1 second, and then we're going to look at the videos, and you're going to see how the cops' stories are adjusted in order to try to fit in with what they gleaned happened from those videos. It's to do that. They don't, from the standpoint of the police, they don't care how contradictory their story is. They don't care how crazy it is. For anybody that ever saw anything on the Rodney King case, they showed that video of Rodney King being beaten like a dog, being hit so hard that he was bouncing off the ground to a Simi Valley jury. And the cops got up and said that every time they struck him and he bounced off the ground, he was resisting arrest, and that's why they had to hit him again. Now, that was patently absurd. But that jury, scared, prejudiced, fearful, pro-cop, was prepared to see that video in that way, from the standpoint of the police. We've got to do our own prosecution in this case. Get out the truth of what's happening in order to avoid that being replicated again. It's going to be our job to do what the prosecutor won't do, which is make clear that it is absolutely possible from the evidence available to convict these cops of murder and to secure justice for Oscar Grant. That is our aim. The more places, the more, in part, we're going through stuff tonight so that people can think about how they would present this information, this case, to co-students, to an assembly in your school, to a church group, to a union meeting, to a UCB class, to whatever audience you can get, how you would present it on MySpace and Facebook, so that we are the ones that are shaping how the state of California and how any Alameda jury or any jury that the case might be removed to sees what happens. So as we're going through it tonight, think about how you can be a part of the movement that has to be built for us to get justice. It's not enough to feel bad. It's not enough to be disgusted ourselves. It's not enough to be able to present the logical truth. It is going to be necessary to organize. And to organize for this, we need to build an organization that is spreading the word and taking up this campaign and making it happen everywhere. BAMN, the Coalition to Defend Affirmative Action, Integration, Immigrant Rights, and Fight for Equality by any means necessary, is prepared and determined to build such an organization. But we know that to do this successfully, we're going to have to unite with other organizations and other people in building this effort and in organizing it to be as strong as possible. Because we just don't want that day when that jury comes back and they say, because the cop cried and said he was scared and he made a mistake and he, reached for his gun and it will never happen again, and he's been traumatized, and he's seeing a police psychiatrist, and he'll feel guilty about this for the rest of his life, and so some jury acquits him. We don't want that day to come. It's our job to prevent that from happening. We can go through all the cases in the past where people have gotten away with murder. Sean Bell in New York, plastered with bullets. Cops had to reload to shoot him enough. Same thing with a number of the other police killings. You would think a jury would just say to themselves, this guy's got to be locked up because he's a psychopath. Anybody who shoots somebody 41 times, who takes the time to reload to shoot them some more, is somebody you would think you would want off the streets. But the cops have walked in almost all of these cases. Instead of mourning those who have died, it's time for some people to organize and actually get justice, and that's our job. So what I'd like to do is move on now to just some of the written material, and I don't know if everybody's...
Some more copies are being made right now.
So we might have to double up. Ronald? What I want to go through is this thing, which there are some copies of floating around.
Which brief?
It's the prosecutor's brief.
Okay. For the thicker packet, it's in the middle. And for the thinner packet, it's the second part.
It's going to say Thomas Orloff up on, it's going to look like this, and it's going to say Thomas Orloff up on the top. We're getting more made, but are there people that we should, who need one smushed together or something? I mean, I'm going to read out loud the parts that we're looking at, and hopefully people will get it in a minute. But this is a motion for bail, and it begins with something called a statement of facts from the prosecutor. And the statement of facts, as I said, is supposed to favor your side. It's supposed to be the presentation of what happened in the clearest way that can support your side. So, for example, if we were writing the statement of facts in this case, we would say that 5 young men were detained, were held in custody for no reason whatsoever. They were never charged with anything. There was no evidence that they did anything. And one of them, in the course of this completely illegal arrest, was executed. That's how we'd be presenting the facts, because that's true and that's consistent